Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Sides Are the Best Part, a podcast where we learn about the amazing passion projects undertaken by college students that are not related to their major. I'm your host, Lola Ojamo, a sophomore accounting and information systems major. So you might be thinking, why sides are the best part? Well, think about Thanksgiving. The sides are the best part. I mean, turkey's great, but I look forward to the mac and cheese, the mashed potatoes, the greens, and everything else on the table. In the same vein, while our majors are great, sometimes it's the side projects and hustles that we do that may fulfill us the most. But enough about that. Let's move on to our first guest, David Crosby. Tell him about yourself.
Hey, David Crosby, a sophomore at UMD, just transferred here. Really, really big school. Really big.
Right.
But I'm enjoying myself. I'm happy that I forgot where I saw your project. I think it was on the, was it the BMI chat or the SA chat? One of them.
Yeah, it might have been one of them, yeah.
And I was like, oh, this looks so cool.
Nice.
So I knew that.
What major are you?
So I'm a finance major.
Nice. So Smith School.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, working hard over there.
Yeah, they make sure.
All right, so tell me about the project you're doing.
So I have two projects. The first one is a YouTube channel.
Cool.
And honestly, just in today's age, just so many YouTube channels, you know, for some various things. And I was like, I want to do that. But the problem is time because, you know, out of, a 12-hour day, 6 is spent to classes, then maybe 4 to studying. So that leaves about, 2 hours left.
Right.
And we usually, which goes to studying. But I've been able to, cut out time in order to do that. So, and I just like, just to see what would happen if I just started, filming different things.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. What about the other one?
I know it was investing. This one was just being African American. There's definitely a gap between us and almost basically every other race in this country.
Right.
And so my thing was, how do I set up a way for me first to be successful, not just with getting a degree, but beyond that. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard the phrase, make your money make money for you while you're asleep.
Right.
And I was like, oh, well, that sounds very, very interesting, but how do you do that? Because there's a lot of sayings, but you do A, B, C, D, there's not too much, at least for African Americans. So I started just doing, different little things. First reading, playing around with different apps and just seeing what, other people have done. And even though it was really good to find out information, I got sort of sad at the same time because when it comes to African Americans, even though a lot of us are successful and have a lot of money, if you want to say the shared secrets, if that's the right word, a lot of people don't like telling different things, unless you're a family or something like that. So I had to, sort of like just really, really, really look hard and do things myself, So like one thing, like playing stocks, bonds, options, things like that. And I was like, well, maybe if I can get a couple other people, we can make a company or things like that. But again, the problem is a lot of people in our community don't like to, if it's not already there, they don't want to go through that process.
Yeah,
so I was like, well,
something.
Exactly. So I was like, well, let me be the first. Let me try to see what I can do while investing, trying to, to make different companies, things like that. But again, when it comes to investing and playing with money, you need a series of licenses and things like that. So I was like, okay, well, let me see what I can do for myself. So I just tried to, invest in different things, talk to different people, even talk to some of my professors because they know so much knowledge. Like the other day, professor was telling me about how you can do volatility and stock and different things like that. And hopefully in the future, it could turn that to a business or something like that. So I'm still figuring out, but it's really, really fun of what I found out so far.
No, yeah, that sounds really cool. Like you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
Like see why you're a finance major in like the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me know about your YouTube channel. Like what exactly do you do on there?
So my YouTube channel is just about my life.
Right.
Again, there's so many YouTube channels about different things. At first I was like, oh, let me be a big YouTube megastar, show my life and different things like that. But then I realized I didn't have that much time to do that, especially, being in school.
Right.
So I just started filming just what I would do on my normal Instagram, so I would just film things or on my phone and just film like my interactions with different people. Like, for example, on one of my videos, it was like my second day here, and I just filmed the campus, walking through, study times, what they eat, and different things like that, just so it could be more natural. And because, like I said, I can't just always have a camera around me saying, let me film now, because more than likely I'm in a class or something like that, and I'm always focused on the study. So it was really, really hard, at first to sort of grasp. But as, you just live life, it's like, oh, well, I do this already, so I can just put that on there.
So like as a transfer student, did it make you like want to do something for yourself as you already came to such a like big school?
Yes, because I transferred from community college, and so the main difference is just the size. The classes and the professors the same thing, but the size is the difference. But and so, it's ironic because at community college you have more free time, and most of the time. So, but ironically, I didn't really start my channel till about maybe 3 months before I transferred.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's just because even though it's smaller, you have more time, more things happen here. There's more of a buzz.
True.
And you just experience more things. Not saying didn't have a great experience there, but it's just sort of different. So me coming to UMD sort of gave me a little bit more. If I can, I don't know. I don't know if I can curse on this. I don't know if I want to say anything inappropriate.
Honestly, it's totally fine.
Oh, it was like a kick in the ass to do something, you know. So I was like, oh, okay, well, come here, let me do this, you know. So it's interesting how less time but more ideas get flowed through you. So I was like, let me do that.
So like, what motivated you to really start in the first place? Because it's always difficult to like it's one thing to have an idea, but it's like a totally other thing to say, I'm gonna actually do this right now.
You know, like what does the Nike commercial say? Just do it.
Right.
I just think it's like, so I just began working out really heavily within the last month or so, and and I think it's the same reason. It's just because if I'm not going to do it now, then when am I going to do it?
Right.
You know, if you keep pushing it off, I'll do it next month.
Yeah.
Then I'll do it next month.
Right.
Do it next month. Eventually, you half of the year is gone.
Right.
So honestly, it was just, I just did it. I hate to I wish I could say something more like this happened, but it was just like, if I don't do it now, when am I really gonna do it?
That's true.
So I think maybe one of the key things was just like, you know, I think it's a perfect time to mesh everything and struggle now. You know, in college is the perfect time. You're trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
You know, academically, personally, you know, the whole 9 yards. So I was just like, okay, let me go ahead and just, you know, try to fit everything. I'm busy enough anyway. You know. So. I hate to say it like that, but I just did.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah, a pretty big thing for me, especially one of the motivations that made me want to make this a project for my class, was that a lot of the times before we get into college, we think, okay, we need to like do this major and do exactly what we need to do to get a job by the end. But we fail to remember that in college, there's so much around us and so much opportunity, especially like moving to such a big school like UMD, which is probably one of like the main reasons why I came here, was because there's so many things going on campus, and there's so many activities and places that you can go into. So it's always a good thing, like you said, to remember that you're in college, and if you're not going to do it now, like, when are you going to do it? When you have like a job, and then you know you can't really.
That scares me.
Yeah.
That's like, I think I agree, because like one thing that's very interesting that I even noticed back when I first started college is they set you up to get jobs, and that's a good thing. But the one thing that, especially from my mindset, is you need to know, first of all, just things. Knowledge, as I do agree, is power. Knowing different things, you know. Like I was in a economics class the other day, and they were just telling us about interest rates and how everything affects everything. And when you really see everything, it's like, whoa, I didn't know, and that makes some sense for other things. And so it's just, you know, how to say this. When it comes to college, you know, always grateful to get in, to do this and do that. But I think that learning how to take care of yourself, learning just different things, obviously whatever your major is, but understanding what to do is beneficial in the long run. Like, for example, a lot of people don't know how to do taxes, which is nuts, which they don't teach that, but you'll learn how to do like a very long equation, which is good too. Yeah, I think college needs to be changed a little bit. You know, with what it means to go to college and what exactly it does, but at the same time, you do get in what you put out. Or other way around, what you put in, you get out. But yeah, so you know, it's a mixed bag, you know, but I'm enjoying it for sure.
Yeah, that's good. So like actually no, let's go back to the investing, because I think that's such a big thing, especially like as a business major, when you enter in and you're thinking about like what investing actually is and what it means. A lot of people have no idea like about the world of investing, and like how did you really dive into that? Because does that like play a role into why you're a finance major right now, or?
Yeah, yes and no. I think, let me first answer first. So why investment? Because the game, how do I say this? Money to, because really it all comes down to money. At least for me, it comes down to money, in various forms. But how can I get money? And I think starting off, when you think of money, and unfortunately, when I think of money, you think of white people, you think of investment, you think of this. At least that's what I thought.
I get what you mean.
So from that, I was like, well, how do I become like that? Or at least how do I have the ability to tap into that market? And so I remember like it was yesterday, I got the app Robinhood. I think everybody's heard of Robinhood by now, the investment app, because prior to that, even when I was just starting to think, should I invest, I didn't really know what to do. I've heard of people, but I didn't know anything. But then I saw this app Robinhood, so I popped it open, and I remember looking at everything, but I didn't know anything. I just saw numbers, buy this, sell this, and it's just like, what do I do? So I remember I read it's a shame I'm forgetting this man's name. He's only the most popular investor ever. His name, I'm drawing a blank, but I'm pretty sure people who know investment know what I'm talking about. But I read his book, and one thing that stood out to me, he said, is just invest in what you know. And one thing that I guess being African American is that one thing that we love our fashion, we love our foods, shoes, clothing, styles, and a lot of people also take away from that as well. So I know I'm sort of going off from the exact question you asked me, but it's just when I started to just play around with it and just say, okay, let me buy. Like I remember my first stock I bought ever was Starbucks. Because for me, I used to always go to Starbucks like almost every day. Yeah. It's almost like a religion to me. And I just, and I remember I bought, I think the stock price that day was like $51.34, I think, exactly. And I only bought one share because, like I said, at the time, not a lot of money. Right. But I'm proud because over 4 months, it went up to, I think, $99.47. And it's gone higher and it's gone back down because they fluctuate. Yeah. But that was like an adrenaline rush, but it was like a slow rise because again, you buy it for $51, I believe, and then it might go down a little bit, might go back up, go down. And this is over months, so it's not like instant. Yeah. But when you see that like over 4 months, you see it's like, oh my God, like what? It did that. And so that's just motivated me to do more, So instead of maybe going out, I might save that to invest into something else. And it's not just stocks as well, but like even with crowdfunding, which I found more recently, which is where you can invest into companies that are just starting out, or maybe they've been there for a while and they're just ready to go public, and everything like that. And that's sort of very similar, same process. You give your money to somebody else, and then they invest into their company, expand out. But and there's a whole lot of more options. So I guess for me to get started, and I just research different things, looked up different type of things, and watch, ironically, more news because I hate news. I hate the news, but see what goes on.
Yeah. So honestly, like hearing everything you're saying, it's like that's something that must have taken a lot of time, must have taken a lot of energy. How did do you feel like anything changed about you when you first started like the YouTube channel or started investing, or like your ideas about what you were capable of?
Yes. The YouTube channel, I think it just made me more, actually, I don't know if it's good, but it made me more conscious because like I said, you're on Instagram, you're with your friends or people that you know, so you're not worrying about what they think of you because they're your friends, so that you have similar minds. But on YouTube, it's different because anybody can see you, right? Anybody. And that's when I started acting a little more, I need to do this, I need to do that. But then I got out of it because I was like, I'm just a person, I'm like maybe happy, maybe a little bit too happy at times, so it's hard for me to always be let me act uptight. So like my mental mindset changed for like a month, but then I was just like, nah, let me just be David, let me just be myself. Sure. From investing standpoint, I think I've become more ask more questions. And what I mean by that is, even in, like, for example, I told you I asked my professor some questions about investing and stocks and different things. And before I would ask questions, but I wouldn't really like press too much. And but ever since then, and even outside of investment, I just ask more questions like, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? What can I do? How does this work? And I might even ask questions that might be off the rails, but just because I'm trying to see how their brain works. Because what I notice is that when a lot of people want to share their information, but you need to figure out how they want to share it with you. Yeah. And like, for example, when I was speaking to my professor about something that's basic, is figuring out volatility and how that can affect the stocks, I was just like, we started from talking about standard deviation, but then when we started talking more and more going into it, randomly he brought up this, and then I talking more. So I just think from the standpoint of investing, it made me more question more things, truly understand what I'm looking at, which also translates to my schoolwork as well, because now it's like, how does this really work? It just it all, and with my major, it just all fits.
Yeah, I think that's actually really great, because a lot of times if you think of how am I going to start this project, how am I going to start getting into an interest that I'm into, like how will that affect everything else I'm doing, how will that affect me getting my schoolwork done, how will that affect me relating with other people. But sometimes you might not think that, when we actually decide to start this project, it might have a positive benefit on everything else we're doing. It might actually like make everything flow better rather than like disrupt how you're like working with your major and everything like that. So do you think like with the YouTube channel and the investing, do you think that's something you see yourself doing like from until the end of college, even when you get out of college and stuff like that?
Yes. The YouTube channel is, I think, it's interesting because my main goal, I think, for my YouTube channel right now is just to really record what I've been doing in life. Not, I think at first I wanted to, to, as I said, get popping, like, get famous. But then it was just like, no, I just want to record just to see someone 5 years, when I'm done with school. Well, hopefully, because you never know, different opportunities. But when I'm done with school, I'll be like, I used to do this, or show it to my kids. This is what it is, yada yada yada. And if other things happen with that, that's great. But I think it's just good to record things. And actually, you asked me a question earlier. I have to actually give credit to my mother as well, because because she went to, shout out to university. I know we're at UMD, but it's my mom, so shout out to University of Wisconsin, because that's where she went. And she went to the University of Michigan, so I have to shout them out. But she like recorded, because back then the technology isn't like what it is now, but she recorded herself and different things like that. And I thought that was always cool to see, what my mom would do again when she was in school and everything like that. So I was just like, I think that also influenced me a little bit as well, But to your point, for YouTube, I don't know where it can take me, to be quite honest. I'm open, but I think that's just for me, just to like how I can show my life, and if other people want to watch, they can watch too. As for investing, I think that's definitely impacted me, because I originally, and I still do, but I always want to go to law school. I have my family is comprised of doctors and lawyers, like legit, like one half doctors, one half lawyers.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and shout out to my brother too, because he wants to become a doctor as well.
Oh wow.
He also goes to the University of Wisconsin, so shout out UW again. Even but that's what I originally wanted to do. But now with taking classes of finance, different things, and just with talking to my different professors, they're like, well, have you ever thought about like becoming like a hedge fund manager, different things like that? And they just been talking to me about different things. And again, that's an idea that I've just never thought of, because just from not having experiences and not talking. But like I said, we start asking questions, then they give you different information. And they're like, well, yeah, they do A, B, C, D. They do this, they do this, they do this. They're also like, they get paid a hell lot of money too as well.
That is true. That is true.
But they're like, this is what you're looking for. And because my interest just happened to directly align, they're like, you should, do this. So it's definitely, investing has definitely influenced me to look at what I like. And I still do want to go to law school. It's crazy because they keep saying, well, you want to do law, you want to get an MBA, you want to do all these other things. I'm like, well, you never know.
It's true. That's true.
So but it's definitely influenced me.
That's cool. So I think really the last thing is, what would you say to another student who wants to start pursuing a project for themselves?
Just do it, but more force yourself to do it. Just do that first step. Like I said a little bit earlier, like for going to the gym, I was just like, let me just do it, like why not? Because I think procrastination and just I can do something else. And when I just did it, just because I know a lot of students are like me, it's just like you want to do it, but I can do something else, or is it really the time? I can wait another day. And when I just did it, it was really fun. I was like, oh okay, and so I just do it. Just even if it's just the first step, maybe you might not do the whole thing, but maybe you just want to. Just start it off, because I think I'm a believer in what you practice, what you do. So if you just, a little bit one day, then the next day, then it's like, wait a sec, I really want to do this a lot now.
Yeah.
So I hate to say it, but just do it. I don't think there's a hard question. You just want to have to do it.
That's true.
If you want something bad enough, you'll do it.
That is true. So yeah, I think that was really great, because honestly, to start it off, you just really have to do it. There is no better time than now, at least to even just plan it out and think about what you want to do and how you're going to pursue your passion. Even if it doesn't necessarily have to be like a whole job or a side hustle, but diving deeper into your hobby, or maybe like if you wanted to learn guitar one day, you could learn guitar or just do something like that. But really throwing yourself into something that you're passionate about, I think that's something that every college student should really look into and think about. So yeah, David, tell them where they can find you on YouTube.
YouTube is JustGetIt. That's the name of it. That's the name of the channel. Again, JustGetIt. Enjoy yourself. Even though we didn't get into this too much, but this is my YouTube. Even though I filmed my life, I've also, because I've traveled a lot in my life as well.
Oh, nice.
So I have a couple like food videos, different things like that as well. Like, like I don't know if you've ever been to New York, but like the chopped cheese, different things like that. So little things like that.
Oh,
so
cool.
you can check that out. People might like it, might not, because this happens,
Great.
And yeah.
Yeah. Any socials?
It's funny about this, but I literally deleted my how do I say this? You delete your Instagram, but you don't permanently delete it.
Yeah.
I just take social media breaks.
Same.
I just like, I feel like you don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm not missing it. It's been 4 days and I haven't had the urge.
Actually, that's such a good point, because I haven't been on Twitter for this year.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's so funny because my roommate and my friends are like, "Oh yeah, did you see on Twitter?" I was like, "I did not see on Twitter."
Yeah, I know.
It sort of goes into like the news thing, because I really don't seek out news myself, especially if it's like really like hard-hitting stuff. Like I'll learn about it when I need to know it, but I don't like, Twitter is like a continuous flow of like a bunch of different ideas and a bunch of different events.
That's why
sometimes
that right there, because it's too much information.
Yeah.
And to me, and it's not that it's too much information. It's too much BS information.
Yeah.
And to me, it was just like, why am I seeing? Because Instagram, with those algorithms they have now, they've seen you the same stuff, and then I was just like, why am I looking at this?
Right.
So I just took it, because I don't use Instagram. I used to have all of them, but Snapchat's
not a thing.
I used to be on Twitter, but Twitter
it's a lie.
Twitter is nuts.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
Yeah, Twitter is nuts. But my Instagram is Summer of Dave. You can follow me, I guess, but I probably won't pick up till about a week or 2 weeks later. But Summer of Dave, if you want to know.
Nice. All right, so I think that's it for this episode of Sides Are the Best Part. You can access this project anywhere you get your podcast, and be on the lookout for our next episode. See you guys.